How you doing? Today I'm going to give you another installment in the incredible BS snow job that BP is pulling over our eyes. It's just extraordinary. Their PR firm is spectacular. They're even starting to confuse me to a certain extent. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. What's going to happen is when they finally cap that well, which I think they'll probably do, by the middle of August, if not before. Everybody in America is going to go, oh, thank God, the well is capped, the problem is over, we have nothing more to worry about. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been in the oil industry for 45 years, and I am so sick to my stomach over what is happening. I can't even begin to tell you. But first, let me give you a little background. I have more right than most to speak about BP in the oil business because I've been in it for 45 years. I've been everything from an ordinary seaman chipping paint to an able seaman to a third mate, second mate, chief mate, master. I went on to become an owner, and I owned a bunch of oil equipment. I transported it, I moved it, I know all the regulations and so on and so forth. I owned I owned a company, actually, several pieces of equipment when the Exxon Valdez sank, which ultimately resulted in the Oil Pollution Act of 1990, and so on and so forth. So I know a little bit about it. Now, as a disclaimer, I must tell you that I do not know the exact chemical relationship between crude oil and seawater. I don't know the makeup of the oil and so on and so forth. I know a lot about oil, but I can't tell you, I don't want you to think that I'm an expert in that area. But I do know a little bit about dispersants. Prior to the Exxon Valdez, we used to carry Dawn soap on our tugs and barges, and put them right next to the life jackets and the fire extinguishers. That's how important it was. If you got to drop a thimbleful of number 2 heating oil or diesel oil in the water, it made a slick the size of 5 pool tables. And you don't want to slick around your barge even before Open 90. So you just take a little Dawn soap, and there's some chemical in there, and it dissipates. It's gone. You don't even see it. After Open 90, it became against the law to carry that soap or to do anything to disperse an oil slick. That's the Coast Guard's own rules. It's against the law to disperse an oil slick. And in fact, I was in a shipyard one time working on my tug, and I saw a deckhand sprinkle some probably Dawn soap on an oil slick that was surrounding his barge. Might not even have been from his barge, but he did what he could to disperse it so as not to arouse any suspicion. 2 hours later, the United States Coast Guard escorted him off the barge in handcuffs. It's against the law. Well, if it's against the law, how come they're doing it in the Gulf of Mexico? Huh? Well, they have a right to do it because the law says if the oil cannot be contained by mechanical means, that's his booms and skimmers and stuff like that, then it's okay to disperse it. But here's the caveat, and this is why you should be mad as hell, because BP has hired a PR firm to make everybody think dispersants are the way to go. Let me give you a fact. Again, I'm not talking about the chemistry here, but the fact is you can disperse jet fuel, kerosene, gasoline, diesel, and number 2 heating oil. When you drop below that to number 4 heating oil, to number 6 heating oil, to bunker C or to crude oil, you can't disperse it. Think about it. Bunker C, when it's at the temperature of the ocean, is a hard rock of oil. You don't get a hard lump of tar to disperse. You get light oils to disperse. But I guarantee you what BP did. They pulled a snow job on the Coast Guard. I know because I've done it myself. It's not that hard to do. Coast Guard wants everything to work nice. They want, to get along with industry. They don't want to make any hard feelings if they don't have to. They're doing a good job, and it's a very difficult job, but they have been snowed. We should not be dispersing that oil. And even if dispersing the oil was the right thing to do, even if that was the best thing to do, you can't do it to crude oil. We're only making the cleanup job that much harder by breaking the oil into a million little parts. Have you ever in your life heard about an oil spill when they talked about little balls washing up on a beach? You know what those little balls are? Those little balls are what is left after you disperse the oil. You break it down to the point where some of the chemical bonds are released and the oil breaks into smaller pieces. but it does not disperse it. You literally cannot disperse crude oil. We're only making the matters worse. BP's motivation, plain and simple, is to break it into smaller pieces, make it less obvious, so that the impact on our shorelines and the public's opinion and their bottom line will be the minimum. So that's why they've done what they've done. Now, what I think we should do is, since we cannot rely entirely on government agencies to do the right thing, we can't rely on government officials who are waiting to get reelected to do the right thing. We can only rely on corporations to do the most profitable thing, which is not always in the best interest of us or our world or our environment, our very fragile ecosystem. I think that people need to band together. We need to have a people-to-people program. We need to do for CO2 emissions and for oil spills and these kinds of disasters that are taking place in our world today, the same thing my generation did for Vietnam. We all got together and we said, 5, 4, 3, 2, we don't want your CO2. Back then we said 1, 2, 3, 4, we don't want your effing war. Well, we ought to band together and go 5, 4, 3, 2, we don't want your CO2. We don't want your oil in our Gulf. We don't want your mess. We don't want your garbage. We want to clean the place up. But people don't have a voice. Individuals like you and me don't have a voice. We need to band together. I think I've listed down here somewhere the website. Go there, check it out. It doesn't cost anything. Get on board, man. Make your voice heard. I'm Captain Anderson, and I hope to see you on board the Planet Earth ship. Until then, good luck.